Hey everyone, welcome back. It is Mr. Anderson one more time coming to you with our last lesson from our 7th unit on exponentials. We're going to talk today about section 7.2.3 from our CPM Common Core Algebra ebook. And today we are looking specifically at the use of graphing and graphical technology in order to enhance some problem solving. And we've got a problem that sets up really well for our needs today, and it's problem 7-102 in your book. So you'd log in, you'd find chapter 7, you'd scroll all the way down to 7.2.3, and we're going to look at this problem right here. I've got our notes set up, and our notes look like this, and I'm just going to take a second to read the problem, make sure I understand it here. It says the moment you drive a new car off the dealer's lot, the car is worth less than what you paid for it. This phenomenon is called depreciation. Just means the value goes down. Which means you sell the car for less than the price you paid for it. Some cars depreciate more than others. That is, they depreciate at different rates. But most cars depreciate over time. On the other hand, some older cars actually increase in value due to collectability, rarity, due to probably quite a few factors. This is called the opposite of depreciation. This is called appreciation. Let's suppose that in 2012, Geraldine had a choice between buying a 2010 Honda Concord EX for $27,000, which depreciates at 6% a year, a 2010 Cadillac Escalade for $39,000, which depreciates at 22.5% per year, or a 1967 Ford Mustang for $15,000 that is appreciating at 10% per year. Okay, real fast, first thing I notice, and I'm going to try to show you guys a couple things today, not just math related, but organizationally as well. There's a lot of information going on in there, okay? And what I'm going to do is just take a second to get myself a little bit organized. We've got what appears to be 3 different cars. We've got a 2010 Ford Concord EX for 27 grand. That's depreciating at 6%. Grab another highlighter color. We've got a 2010 Cadillac Escalade for 39,000, depreciating at 22.5% a year. And then finally, last highlighter color, a 1967 Ford Mustang for 15,000 that appreciates for 10% a year, or at a rate of 10% a year. Okay, so I just took a second. I highlighted all those things in 3 different highlighters. If you've got colored pens while you're taking your notes, you can underline them or box them in different colors. If you've only got a pencil or one color, you could put squigglies around them, boxes. You could put triangle, borders on them. However it helps you, however it serves you, so you can quickly identify and organize that information. Here's what we're going to do with all this info today. We're going to go ahead and consider or keep in mind our multiple representation webs as we generate all the representations of this problem. And we, of course, have the situation one already done here. All right. And for each of the new cars, and that's the 2010 cars, we're going to consider how much they lost in dollars, how much their value went down from the time they were new in 2010 until 2012. And then we're going to try to tackle this question. We're going to try to give Geraldine some advice on which car she might buy and maybe be able to give her an answer to the why we think that way. And it's not going to be easy, okay? There's some things that we need to know. We, of course, need to know what that multiplier is, and this is not immediately evident from looking at the problem. We've actually got to do a little bit of work with this today, all right? The second thing that could be helpful is some of those multiple representations that I already mentioned. Now, like I said, we've already got the situation done. They gave that to us in the problem. So we're going to try to follow up with the other 3. And then, of course, the answer to the question, what kind of car should she buy? Now, check this out, ladies and gentlemen. I went ahead and I did not take this from the book. I made this on my own. And this is just a good strategy that you might be able to use in your own notes, okay? We've got the 3 different vehicles, and I just built a table, okay? I built a table that has the Honda Accord and this, remember, was my orange. Then I've also got the Padillac Escalate, that was my red, and finally I've got the Fjord Rustang, and that was my blue, okay? So now what I could do is, and this is just a strategy, use it or don't, I could go back up here and quickly identify that information that I need, okay? But I also put a couple other things in under each vehicle. What type of car was it? Was it like a new or a used vehicle? I put the purchase price, and then I put the rate at which it was depreciating or appreciating. And that's really going to help us out today. And again, just trying to show off a strategy here that could work for you. And if you like it, use it. If you want to modify it because you're not me and you work slightly different, I love it. Go with it, right? There's no wrong way to do this, okay? First thing that I want to draw your attention to, and let's start with the Honda Concord EX. First thing I want to draw your attention to is this idea of depreciation. This means the value is going down. So we want to go ahead and connect that depreciation rate to the multiplier in this exponential function that we're about to write, okay? If my rate of depreciation is 6%, we would be returning 100% of the value of the car year over year if the value did not change. Well, the problem is it's going down. So every year I am taking away 6%. And for us, that means that every year we get back 94% of the vehicle's value from the previous year. Now, we don't multiply with percentages in math, okay? So what we've got to do is we've got to take this multiplier and write it as a decimal. Remember, you take that percentage, you divide it by 100, and you get your multiplier, your B value of 94%, okay? And remember, of course, in any exponential function that is depreciating, remember, it is just 1 minus r, and I promise that links to the exact same thing. Okay, you may have heard your teacher or me say that before. Let's go ahead and use the same strategy for the, what do we got here? The Padillac Escalate, okay? Exact same idea. We start with 100% if there was no change, but because we are depreciating, we're going down by 22.5%. All right, if I go ahead and I do this subtraction, it works out to be 77.5%. And of course, that is my B value as a decimal, 0.775, okay? And this actually supports some work that we have already done, right? Look at those B values. They are in between 0 and 1. That does indicate that I'm going to have a decreasing function over time. That's, I mean, we're on the right track. All right, the final vehicle we have is this Fjord Rustang, and this is our one vehicle that is appreciating, okay? So it looks slightly different, okay? If we were to return 100% of that vehicle's value year after year, it'd be effectively multiplying by 1, or there would be no change. But this value grows, right? So we are adding 10%, okay? So this works out to be we are getting 110% of that vehicle's value back year after year. And if we, of course, divide this by 100, it's 1.1 or 1.10. There's my B value, and of course it's growing over time. All right, now let's go ahead and write the equation. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got this set up pretty nicely for us. In order to do this, I've got start values up here. I've got the purchase price. There's my natural start value. I've got my B value, my growth or decay rate. Okay, and these equations, to write them, should not be too bad. Y equals that start value times the rate to the x power. Okay, so I've calculated the multiplier. Now I've turned that into an equation. And the reason I've turned it into an equation is so we can work with it. I'm going to do the exact same thing here for the Escalate. Start value, purchase price, $39,000. Okay, times the growth rate. Put a 0 in this one. I don't know why. Oops, to the x power. All right, you don't need to include that leading 0 prior to the decimal. And lastly, the Fjord Rustang. Y equals that start value times that growth rate to the x power. So there you go, folks. We've got all three of these things done. And what I'm going to do now is, in order to talk about these things, in order to consider Geraldine's options, I'm going to go ahead and do some graphing before we fill out our table. So I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to pull up a Desmos window, and I am simply going to graph each one of these things. Actually, I'll show you guys the Desmos window. I already started. I set this up ahead of time with the vehicle value and the years. I'm simply going to graph each one of these things, okay? So you guys could do this with me now that we've written them. All right, so I'll pause it. I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. I took all of these functions and I entered them into my Desmos window. I've got my window set up here so I can see these things, and you see the Honda Concord in orange, like our orange highlight. You see the Cadillac Escalade in red, like our red highlight. And here in blue, of course, is the increasing Fjord Mustang. Now check it out, because there's a lot going on in this graph. I've got 3 different curves. I've got 3 different points of intersections. We're going to talk about those in just a minute. But we're asked, after we consider the equation, can we consider the table? And the table would be a pain in the rumpus to go ahead and try to do by hand. So what we're going to do here is we're maybe going to learn a new skill on Desmos today. Every Desmos equation that we enter has the ability to convert to a table, right? Check this out. So I just click into this window and I click on the settings. And every single one of these now has a very, very nice table that I can insert. Okay, and it turns my function into a table, and I can adjust these values, right? So, like for example, in my notes, my table goes from 0 to 4. So I'll go back up here to my Honda, and I will turn this into 0, 1, and look at Desmos like auto calculates for me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, but here's what I noticed so far, right? In order for me to like seek equity here, if I do it to the next vehicle, like, check out what I'm seeing in the graph. Like, I'm looking, and I don't know when we achieve balance here. I can't see when these two things are equal. Like, for example, this is 23 after 2 years, 23,857. This is 23,400. I mean, those are close, and is close good enough? I'm not sure. So, in this particular case, something like the table, oh man. I'm going to suggest that would be maybe just a touch clunky if I was looking for when we have balance here. Okay? So here's what I might consider instead, right? Let me admit something. If you're watching this video, I'm probably a great deal older than you are. And when I was your age, we didn't have graphing technology like Desmos. And graphing was at best an estimation. Okay, but now with the advent of Desmos, we have the ability to calculate an intercept with a click. All right, so check this out. I'm just going to zoom in on where our graphs appear to be coincidental here. And I'm looking right here. Here's what I see. I see that Cadillac decreasing, and it's decreasing quickly. I see that Honda decreasing, not as quickly, but I see this Mustang, increasing. Here's what I can do with this. If I go ahead, and of course I've converted these to tables, shoot. If I go ahead here, I gotta pause the video. I gotta adjust these one more time. Give me 1 second. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I had converted those into tables, and in order to find the points of intersection, I need them in their equation form. So I had to pause it, delete it, and rewrite those things. Thanks for sticking with me. But here's what I'm looking at. I'm gonna zoom in on where these things start to intersect, and what I see here is a gray dot. And what this tells me, right, everything to the right of this is where the fjord is increasing. So after about 3 years and 9 months, right, 3 3/4, 3.739 years, I know that the value of the Ford will have the greatest benefit to our car buyer, okay? And that's one of those things that she's really got to consider here. And unfortunately, all of these car values come with distinctly different starting prices, okay? A $27,000 car, a $39,000 car, and a $15,000 car. So what's the end game for our buyer? Is she looking for value over time? Is she looking for the car with the smallest down payment, right? What are the smallest month-to-month payment? Unfortunately, I don't have advice. The only thing I can offer her is information. Like information after 4 years, we're going to see the best value with the Fjord. We're going to see the greatest decline in the Cadillac, even though it's probably the nicest car with the almost $40,000 price tag. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a couple review preview problems, just 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Give all these a shot so you know what questions you have. Thanks for watching, folks. Have a great day.